This is John Kohler with OKRaw.com, and today we're going to answer a really important question. Should I eat 100% raw? Should my goal be 100% raw? And is 100% raw really the best thing to do? I got into raw foods because I had a health crisis in my life. I almost lost my life due to spinal meningitis, which was caused by complement immune deficiency. And actually, I ended up in intensive care unit, and the doctors tell me I might not make it out alive. So after I got out of there through higher powers, because I can't say that conventional medicine got me out of there actually, I had a brand new lease on life, and I want to make a difference in the world and the planet and make sure that I was never, ever, ever put in that situation again where I'm in the hospital and my fate is in somebody else's hand. I want to take back my health into my control, and how I did that was with my diet. And back then I learned about raw foods and the power of raw foods, and I basically, because I came from an extreme situation and I saw that, I need to just eat raw foods for the rest of my life, and I equated 100% raw with health, and if I ate any cooked foods, it could mean to me that I'd be back in that hospital, because as we know, things that we eat that are cooked are maybe not so good for us, or so I thought at the time. So that being said, during these past 15 years, I've maintained 99.999% raw. I've eaten some cooked things on some rare occasions when I had a weak moment or whatever, but on a daily basis, I don't cook anything, I don't eat anything cooked, because, I just feel the effects it has on my body. So that being said, I think everybody should make their own choice and own percentage that they would feel comfortable with. I mean, I came from basically, I think my sheer willpower and the willpower not to be back in the hospital and to lose my life really gave me that push I needed to maintain the 100% raw, because I thought if I ate anything not raw, I'd be back in that hospital. So unless you have a real chronic condition like that, that may not be the best thing, and here's why. I've coached, hundreds of people, and my website has reached thousands and if not millions of people by now to educate people about raw foods. I'm a big advocate of raw foods, but that being said, I'm not always an advocate of 100% raw foods, because you can run into a lot of problems if you try to be 100% raw. Number one, and I won't even get into this, I'm no expert in this, is your psyche and your mental attitude. If you try to eat all raw and then you think you're depriving yourself of, a cookie, or you think you can't have that, that's gonna mess you up. And then if you just eat that one cookie and you have it and you're like, oh, this is so good, and while it may taste good to you, your body's definitely gonna react in a negative way. You may get, I don't know, stomach ache, you will definitely get a drop in your energy level, but nonetheless, it's your psyche. And so once you eat one cookie, then you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad, you'll have another one, another one, another one, because you're on this thing like, I have to eat raw food or I'm a failure, which is like the unsaid thing when you set a goal of being 100% raw. And that's really destructive. I've seen a lot of people get into raw foods all gung-ho about it, and then they set themselves up for failure. And I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to be set up for success and succeed on raw foods. So, nowadays I have a much, calmer approach. I mean, in the beginning when I got into raw foods, there was books that came out that said cooked food is poison, don't eat cooked foods, and all this stuff. Well, you know what? We need to differentiate between raw foods and cooked foods. Not all cooked foods is poison. While all cooked foods may cause a leukocytosis reaction in your blood, which is activating your immune system, it's not like rat poison that'll just, put you down under. We need to differentiate, and, not all raw foods are healthy. For the last several years, I've been giving a talk. Just because it's raw doesn't mean it's healthy. You could probably find it online somewhere. I've been videotaped on a couple instances, and I put clips up here and there. But not all raw foods is healthy. We've kind of misconstrued this whole idea of, if it's raw and natural, then it's healthy for us. Well, not always the case. There's many things that are creeping into the raw foods movement now that maybe aren't so healthy for us, that are being labeled as raw and natural, and they're definitely not good for us. And I have other videos on some of those specific ingredients that I have big problems with. But here's the thing, I could go over this in a couple simple sentences. We want to be eating whole, fresh fruits and vegetables. I'm sitting here in my lovely organic front yard garden. So what we want to be eating on a raw foods diet is fresh fruits and vegetables, and minimizing specifically all the processed foods. And we want to just get those processed foods out of our diet. As few as 100 years ago, there was no such thing as processed food. They didn't make high fructose corn syrup by extracting corn and pressing out the syrup and adding enzymes and doing all this Frankenstein stuff to our foods. That's not where it's at. We want to be eating whole natural foods, So definitely raw stuff is the best. Fresh picked is even better. Definitely organic, because we don't want to be eating all those pesticides and things like that. So whole fresh foods without preservatives that are not processed by man or minimally processed by man. So for example, when I first got into raw foods, I thought it was really important to maintain my 100% rawness to, I don't know, for whatever reason, for my health. But in the beginning, I ate things like dates and almond butter. And almond butter, I got the raw almond butter, and back then almonds were not pasteurized as they are now. And I would eat those, and I'd eat that for like a dessert, and that was better than my Reese's peanut butter cups, because it was like a sweet and a fat, kind of like the chocolate and the sugar and the peanut butter. So I mean, that was how I made my transition into raw foods. But knowing that I ate dates and almond butter, now I almost cringe at the fact. And I do like to enjoy some dates and almond butter sometimes. But I mean, I used to eat it like every night, and I'd like just polish off just things and dates. I'd buy date paste in bulk. I hate so much of that stuff. And while that may be raw, in my opinion, it's much healthier to have some fresh picked steamed vegetables, that you grew and steamed yourself. That's going to be much healthier for you than a dense and concentrated food such as dates and almond butter. So we want to be eating fresh foods with high water content that are as fresh as possible. Definitely some other things that I've seen, we want to be minimizing all our animal food products. So especially the dairy, you want to get all the dairy out of your diet. I mean, even if you're not 100% raw, you got to get rid of the dairy. That stuff's really bad. It's mucus forming. It's not really good for us. Then of course, we don't want to include the animal meats or anything, other animal products in our vegan raw foods diet. I don't think it's like super healthy for us, but nonetheless, if you're at the point where you still need that to feel satiated, go for it. But definitely get out the dairy. Also, wheat. A lot of people have problems with gluten. And even if you're not labeled a celiac, a lot of people have problems with gluten. So some of the things I don't eat in my raw foods diet are grains and beans for the most part. A lot of beans have toxins that you actually need to cook to get those toxins out. And so getting back to the 100% raw or not, the real thing is this. You want to set a realistic goal for you. Say you enjoy your steak and potatoes once a week, or whatever meal it is, whether it's a vegan tempeh dish or whatever. Don't limit yourself. What you want to do is add more raw foods in your diet. So I call this the addition principle. So say for breakfast you have corn flakes or whatever you're eating, granola. Eat your same granola, and then, for the first day, maybe add like a whole cut up banana to it, the granola or the corn flakes. Keep that up for like a week. The next day or the next week, maybe add like 1.5 bananas to your breakfast cereal, or any other fruit, strawberries, blueberries, apples, cut up. And what you're going to do is slowly increase the percentage of fresh fruit you're eating for breakfast and decrease the corn flakes or granola until you're eating mostly all fruit and a little bit granola, and then maybe one day you'll even just eat fruit for breakfast. I mean, that's what I eat for breakfast most mornings, is just fresh fruit. I don't need any granola or anything else. But if you can't do that, that's fine, because now at least you're displacing that cornflakes or granola with half fresh fruit. So I'd recommend at least getting like to a point where you're 50-50, 50% fruit, 50% granola. And if you could do more, 75%, great. If you can't, the more fresh fruits and vegetables you eat, the better. And that's what the raw foods diet is about. It's not about being 100% raw. It's about eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, and the more the better. 100% raw is the extreme case, and I don't recommend that most people go to that extreme case. 80, 90%, for most people, so they don't get the, emotional distress is definitely good, because I see a lot of people crash and burn. They'll try to go gung-ho for raw. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this raw food thing. They do it, and they're so confined and strict that they just like, it's just like painful for them. I mean, they like the food, they like how they feel, but it's so painful emotionally that after a week, you know, they give it up. Oh, that raw food stuff doesn't work. So for lunch, for example, what you're gonna do is eat your standard lunch, whatever it is, I don't know, hot dog, sandwich, or whatever, and you want to eat a salad, or eat, you know, half a salad or a quarter salad, or just some pieces of lettuce before you eat your sandwich. And just like breakfast, you're gonna displace your big hamburger, sandwich, or whatever you're eating with a bigger salad. Hopefully you've learned more about should you eat 100% raw or not. And you know, in most cases I recommend people don't eat 100% raw because you're setting yourself up for failure. I want to see you succeed in raw foods. So set yourself up for success and slowly and incrementally increase your raw percentage. And you could do this to your family as well. You have to do it much more gradual if you're doing it to your family, and they won't even notice. You're giving them a little bit bigger salad, and you have to plate their food. You can't let them serve it up, because if they're serving it up themselves, guess what? They're probably not going to go for the salad. All right, so this is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time.